All right. It is Feminine Fridays once again. I'm Laura Rubinstein with the amazing Diane Halfman. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Laura. Great to be here with you and our friends. Starting a new
I know.
amazing weekend.
Yay! Feminine Fridays. It's a sign. It means it's your time to breathe a little bit. Let go of anything that's weak left you with that you don't want. Just let it go. And just celebrate what did happen this week that you loved, right? This is the time of celebrating. And we've been talking about, from our feminine power cards here, the core principles that are embedded in with these cards. And I revealed a few weeks ago my secret code in the cards. It's like suits. They're not that secret, but they're not your everyday card suits. So we have 5 in the cards, and we talked about compassion. We've talked about conscious choice. We had a really fun time talking about cultivating joy. And today we're going to talk about creativity. Yay, creativity.
Awesome. Love it.
I know. Let's get creative, at people. Okay, why not? So, some people say, "Oh, I'm not creative," because they don't think they're an artist or something, right? We're not talking about art. I mean, we could be. It's absolutely a part of, in that big world of creativity. But, this is Feminine Fridays, and just by being a woman, we are creative by our nature. We have the ability to create life. So if you think you're not creative, it's like, drop the bomb here. Sorry. You were born as a creative machine.
Definitely. Oh, I love this. It's funny because I used to be one of those people that I didn't think I was very creative because I would see people that I've got friends who are fine artists and I've seen some of the things that you've created and just like we think of just the traditional art of what that is. And when I started like expanding my idea of creativity about, really how I can look at things from just being in ease and flow is a part of creativity. About just looking at things from a different perspective can be creativity. I mean, I went on a beautiful hike this morning with some friends, and we overlooked just the ocean, the Coeur d'Alene Lake, and it was just so beautiful. And I felt like I was in flow with the creativity of just the trees and the water and the beauty. And so that being part of creativeness and just nature feels like just we're part of that majesty, and it feels like that's a creative experience.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought up nature, because that's all Mother Nature does is create. Life is the act of creating, and transforming and movement. So to just get creative, you might want to just go move, get into nature, take a hike, take a walk around the neighborhood, stare at flowers, go buy yourself some flowers, whatever it takes, right? So it's about having that creative energy around you. I mean, like, flowers are so stimulating, right? They're just vibrant, full of life and color and energy, and everyone is different, yet there's some similarities and nuances there. So if you're struggling to be creative, like, give it up.
Well, I think also like that the next level of creativity is just taking a second glance at something, just noticing something in a deeper way that's happening. And I found that each of us on this hike were noticing things like at a deeper level. So when we were walking, there were actually roots of trees that were had gone over the actual path, and because so many people had walked over them, they were like completely just sheen and shining, and the different colors of the webbing of it. And it was just like, some people would be like, oh, I'm just walking over a root of a tree. But it was like the vibrancy of it felt like there was this creative process that we got to experience and be part of. And so it was like that kind of deeper level, taking a second glance of just instead of just letting things, move past you, to look at them at a deeper level and have that be part of your experience.
And speaking of a deeper level, when you pull a card, some of them seem very basic at first, but then you think about it, like, what does that mean? So the creativity cards, so you have the principle on the pink side and the practice on the blue side, and the blue side also reveals the suit. And this is what the creative suit looks like. It looks like white and blue for the most part, right? But this, so I picked one. We've gone through it before, but you'll love this one. You'll remember we talked about mistakes involved the creative process when you learn from them. So if you look at a mistake as a creative opportunity, then you have to look a little deeper, like you were saying. It's like, oh, well, you can feel bad about yourself and just kind of like give it up and say, I'm such a bad person. Or you can say, no, I made a mistake. It's a mistake.
Mm.
What was the, what, but I just went down a different path. Do I want to go down the other path or do I want to keep exploring this? And this, the practice on here says try and try again.
Yes. One of my favorite things that was brought to my awareness around mistakes is, instead of mistake looking as like an offshoot or the wrong way, that mistakes are actually on the same path to success, that you actually need to move through those mistakes, those challenges, those things that happen, but it's all on the same path. And those actually help you to get to
It's a
that
stepping stone.
place, right? And so when you think of it like, oh, I'm completely on the right path, right? This is part of the creative process. This is part of really embracing mistakes, of like, what is this mistake trying to bring my awareness to maybe pivot, to shift, to actually continue to move forward with it. That there's all that happening for us.
Yeah, so think about things that you normally would think of as mistakes. Say, no, this is part of my creative process. It had to happen in order for me to get to where I want to go, right? I got that. Yeah, I love that. I was making sourdough bread. It's my new thing. I don't even do that much gluten, but sourdough bread is what I make an exception for here these days. And because I've got this sourdough starter growing, and the very first one was not ideal. And I was excited. I was like, look at all that I learned. I learned about how to use this flour. I learned what not to do. I'm going to try. I learned that there are 16 other things I can do and try the next time. So it was exciting for me to make the mistake. If it came out perfectly, I would think, oh, I can just do this over and over again the same way. But I actually thought of other ways, and not that I wouldn't have thought about it, but I just chose, like you said, to take that perspective of, for what might this be good, and how can I approach this in a new way, and where might this lead if I wanted to do it again but make it more successful, right? What might I change? So it's an evaluation and a perspective thing. And sometimes, perspectives, you got to get creative to get a new one. So if your current perspective isn't working for you, you got to do something different. You got to get in nature. Or I started a new thing to get me into the creative zone. You know what this is?
Hula hoop.
It's a hula hoop.
I wish I was in my living room. I have them one too.
I started taking a hoop dance class.
Wow, good for
Yeah.
you. That's so good for your core.
It's good for your
And
core. It's
it's
good
fun.
for stretching. It's fun. It's creative. You don't have to be good at it because we're all in our little homes. We're not really in front of people. But just to get into creative mode, moving your body in a new way is a really good idea. It breaks things up. If I am like finding I want to go, that's what sometimes why people go to food and they eat food, because they want those endorphins. They want their brain to change. You can do that. That works. Not so good for the waistline always, but but getting out and stomping on the ground, doing some hula hooping, or just marching in place even can do it. And as you know, I like to hang upside down when I can get to a set of monkey bars. So get
Yeah.
creative, people. Let us know what your creative process is, what kind of creativity you're going to be doing here. Sprinkle them below, or let us know. Send us privately messages. We're here for you. We want you to get creative and have fun with the creative process.
Well, and also, if you get stuck in coming up with something creative, hang out with little people. Children are amazing about coming up with like things that you're like, oh, I didn't know you could use it like that, or you could play with it like this, or mix colors in that way, or do a picture in a certain way. And I find when I do like art projects with my grandkids, I'm always learning a new way to do something, a new way of expression, and just how much fun that they're having, regardless of the outcome of what the actual project looks like. They are having fun, and we can really learn from that and incorporate that in our, way of being and adding creativity to our daily experience is doing that. So we would love to hear in the comments, what are you doing that is creative for this weekend?
Yeah, what's on your weekend agenda? How will you get creative? Creative. Not doing art. You could do art though. I'm not saying you don't have to. I love even coloring in coloring books.
Oh, I love that too.
Isn't that fun? It's like,
Yes.
who would have thought? Paint by numbers or color by, coloring books, going back to our roots here, could be so much fun as an adult. And it doesn't, it's about engaging your brain in a way that has no judgment and has maybe something that it generates. It's generative. So
Right.
whether you're cooking a new recipe, hula hooping, or dancing, or screaming just to scream and learning your voice, like singing, it could simply be writing a letter, journaling. Those are some of my ideas. And pretty much anything you do is creative.
Right.
But energizing that power that we already have within is a very feminine thing and brings opportunities to light that you might not have seen before.
Definitely. I love it. Well, let's get creative this weekend.
I'm with you. Woo! I'm about to
Mwah.
do that right now, and I can't wait to hear about yours. All right, everyone.
All
Thanks.
right. Much love. Bye bye.